Good morning. Happy Monday. Here we are again. It's Monday morning, 8 a.m. California time, and it's time to get going. So we have Monday Momentum here for you every week, half hour of information and fun and inspiration so that after that you get up and get going and really move forward on your dream, because that's the most important thing you could possibly be doing. So today we have a special guest, Justin Elledge. I hope I'm saying it right, Justin. He's going to be joining me in just a second. You can go ahead and unmute and turn on your camera, Justin. Justin is known as the Human MRI, which means that he's fabulous at helping people who have things going on in their bodies that they're not quite sure what they are. He can help them figure it out. And if you go to his, or when you go to his website, you're going to see lots and lots of testimonials about that. Today, he's going to talk a little bit more generally with us, not so much about health, though we may get there, but more about how our inner world and our mind affects our business and how productive we can be. And you know, the inner part then reflects on the outer part. So looking around you and how organized your space is, or lucky me, I have a plant. Apparently that's a really good thing. So Justin, number one, tell us what is so important about what you do and how it can help people grow their businesses.
Well, thank you so very much, and welcome, Sarah. Happy Monday morning. Wow, there's so many things to start with, so I'll start with simple. Simple is simple. One is, why do you want to go into business? Most people would say, like myself, is we were inspired to do something. In my field of medical intuition, it was not something I went to college to do, or a school, or a particular training, or a class. And I only vaguely knew about the area of medical intuition with the work of Edgar Cayce and Carolyn Mace. So when this ability came into me 11 years ago, it was completely out of the blue. So kind of like if you had been given a lottery ticket that won, or you had a family member with a viable business, said, oh, I'm retiring, here it is, and you decide to take it over. With that, all the things that go along with any business, it's had to jump forward and continue. Up till this point, most of the business work that I've done, I've sold products. This is one of my inventions right here. And this is called the Wonder Weight. And it's used by orbital motion, which means it works by spinning. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, which I have a couple of patents on. So I kind of had been moving toward the direction of having my own business by inventory, making sure product was on the shelf, it was getting shipped off, dealing with UPS, USPS, all the little details and minutiae of what business takes to operate. And for anyone that's out there that's also self-employed, they know, and you know, that it's not one thing, it's 1,000 things. And if I was going to choose one skill set, number one skill set would be patience, patience, patience.
Okay, so now I got to dive in. Patience with yourself, patience with how quick the business grows, patience with, gee, I thought I was going to be, working in a field that was more around motivation, and now it seems to be turning into something else. Tell us more about the patience piece.
When I first started doing this, or when for example, I'll use the Wonder Weight for an example. I had no idea, except this great idea, that this spinning object, which was based on the idea of using a jump rope in a wheelchair, which is what the inspiration was. And also being a nurse, I thought, well, this could be a viable product for helping people recover arm and shoulder and other issues. That was, 16 years ago. And so what I thought would take off like a rocket has been a very slow sales and steady incline. And again, if you told me 16 years ago, this is where you'd be in 16 years with it, I was like, I probably wouldn't have gotten into it. But along the way, I've always had these kind of little steps and direction that says, yes, this is good. This, keep going, keep going. Not to mention the investment of monies and time and energy. And being an entrepreneur and being in business for yourself is a little bit of an insanity, because I have to say, having worked for other companies and other individuals, it's a lot easier to go to a job, you do what you do for 40 hours, hopefully. And then you go home, and then you have the weekends off, hopefully, and you get on with your life. It is a simpler way to go, but I find for myself that in my own dealings with the world, I don't fit in just one mold to just go 9 to 5, 5 days a week. It's never been my strong suit. So to find what I could do as an independent entrepreneur and business owner, it's been something that I've really found it works with my personality. So, and it's having the patience even with myself to learn what I've had to learn. There are no classes that I can say this, like if you go to this one school, it's going to teach you everything about business, because there's always more things that come up between inventory, taxes, again, paperwork is also one of the things that I have learned a lot of patience about. And one of the best things I've learned is that, you know what, sometimes you can hire someone to come in and help you get organized. And that's been a real godsend.
So we planned to talk today a little bit more about, the space around you. And I have cleverly constructed what is behind me as like pretty much the cleanest, tidiest corner of this office. So dead giveaway, but I'm not going to show you what the rest looks like. But for the audience, we're working from home, most of us, and maybe that means we're not home very often, but that's where our base is, and we have our, files and our computers and all that stuff. How does that impact us when we are, have a space that's organized versus one that's disorganized, or the colors, or the, like you said, the other day, plants make a difference? Well, tell us a little bit more about that.
One of the things that I have come to appreciate over the years is the ancient form of I almost said Tai Chi, but rather Feng Shui. And Tai Chi in of itself is moving energy, about two people working and two people engaging with each other in a form of martial arts. Feng Shui is a way of increasing the energy flow into our space. Now, this could be for our house, our home, and our business. Before my office is the way it's laid out today, I had not just a desk, but I also had a second layer that I built above the desk. It was like a second landing pad for a helicopter. So I literally doubled the surface area above my desk and had it facing out the front door, which basically became this huge accumulator of all the paper, which I thought would be easier to handle because I could put it up there. And so I've just made it easier so I wouldn't have to get up off my chair and to go find things. Unfortunately, it became this mass accumulator of all the things in the universe. And I had a Feng Shui expert come in and look at it. And they said, no, this really is blocking your flow. So I pulled that off, sold it, and it ended up becoming a corner desk for children's artwork. And that by then moving my desk away from facing the front door into I think this is the wealth corner. So once I did that, literally within days, my work and the amount of clients calling me bumped up, and the amount of my sales bumped up. And it's like, wow, that is so cool. And that became for me a great motivator. I think at the same time, I received a single check for more than I'd ever received in my life. And that was completely out of the blue. And it's like, oh, I like this. So what I'm saying is that there's many websites online to where you can actually see the 8-sided wheel and look at it and apply it to the office. So it's like, this should be your wealth corner. This should be your family corner. This should be your fun corner. And how one arranges. Of course, most offices have 4 sides. So if you can imagine, even the corners of a 4-sided office also have their advantage in energy connection. So by at least starting that point of maybe rearranging the office, turning it a little bit, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It may just be turning from one corner, moving the desk to the other, which is a lot to reset. But I have to say, from my own experience, it's been so well worth it.
Well, I love that because, I have some, I know a few people that are experts in Feng Shui, and I've looked at it and investigated it and thought I have to put a lot of energy into my house. And then there's the problems of, well, gee, my house and how it's situated on the lot. There's not a whole lot I can do about those kinds of things. So the whole thing became overwhelming to me. And I just, okay, I hope I'm doing okay. Never just thought about, well, how about only your office? And that would be something, that seems a little more doable to me. And of course, if that means that the fountain of money starts pouring, then we can take on the whole house. So I like that. Thank you for suggesting it.
And if I'm not mistaken, Sarah, is that not a money plant in your corner behind you?
Well, I know it as a jade plant, but maybe in some culture it's a money plant. I'm happy to have a money plant.
Well, are the leaves like kind of thick, like silver dollars or quarters? Or like a thick leaf rather than a thin leaf? Because that's how it looks to me.
Yeah, definitely. They are thick. Like I said, what I know it as is a jade plant, and I would grab a leaf right now, but I'm afraid to even move since I've had so much trouble with the internet this morning and wiring and things, but it probably is. I can certainly look it up later and verify that. Tell me, what does that mean?
Well, again, this particular plant, as I understand, it's called the money plant. And it's by having it around the home or in the office to help bring and hold that energy of wealth. So if it was in your, let's say your money corner, then that would be an added boost versus in your family corner, depending on where you see your wealth. And so, again, not being a feng shui expert, and if there's someone talk to them to help you rearrange it. But it can be just a very simple thing. So let's see how to do this. So again, my office was a square. And so my desk was pointed this way, which was toward the front door, or toward my door and toward the front door. So all I did was turn the desk so it was now pointed to this opposite corner. And that's when the energy really started shifting. But of course, I also pulled off the second mezzanine and the second layer to my desk, which also caused me to clear and clear and clear and toss and clear and toss and put things into boxes that I had been holding on to because I thought they were important. And that's when really things started flowing for me. In my office, one of the things that it's when I'm doing a session with someone, I basically turn off all the lights and literally work in the dark because as a medical intuitive, I work with my eyes closed so I can see and concentrate and see the imagery that comes up for a person's internal spiritual or physical workings. So for me, it's one of the things that is most people would generally want to have a nice office window, these kind of things. But for me, it's actually worked out to close the windows and block things out. So I let in the inner light.
So that makes a lot of sense, actually. And I wish that, well, I don't know if I wish anything, but I like having a window. And since I'm not doing medical intuition, I think I'll keep it. But I am going to investigate it because, boy, if all I do is move the plant from one side of the room to the other, then that helps. I'm perfectly willing. So I wanted to ask you, you're working on a book. And Justin is another itty bitty book author. We've had a couple on the show. Number one, Susie Pruden came on a while back, and she talked a little bit more about how to use your book to build your business. And then we had Mary Helen Conroy, who's writing a book about retiree rebels on. So this will be the third now. And the itty bitty authors are important to me because I'm one too. And I'll have my own book coming out quite soon. Tell me how writing a book has impacted your business and, how you see that you'll use it to grow your business. And anything else you'd like to say about that journey? Because I imagine that when you first started with like the weights, you weren't thinking that you'd be writing a book someday. Is that right?
Exactly. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And 15 years ago, I was actually doing children's stories, which was more Dr. Seuss, fun, single chapters. And it was just one after another was just flowing out of my hands, and my muse was working overtime. And I really enjoyed that. So I thought if I was ever going to write a book, it would be something along the lines of adventure, fantasy, dwarves and elves and such. However, that did not connect. I still have the stories and they're wonderful, but have moved on. So with this book, I get it right. It's the itty bitty book, 15 Steps to Supercharging Your Health. And this book will be an accumulation of the last, 40 years of health tips and secrets and things that I have found that work really well for most people. For example, a lot of times I recommend a material called Double Helix Water, which is like on my website. And so in the book, I will describe some of the applications of what it's used for in my own work with my clients. I've seen it help 2 kids clear up their autism. I have another client in his 70s who was completely out of this world in a wheelchair with Alzheimer's. And they'd kind of given up on him, figured he had another 6 months to live. Now he's interacting with his wife again. He's taking care of himself. He's feeding himself. So the book will become all of these things are the go-tos that, as also being a nurse, also having been through health challenges myself, also the information that's come through during the sessions into one place that I can put out to my clients so they have a broader understanding. In the 1 hour that we have a session together, or even a 2-hour session, there's no way for me to cover all the points because people are always asking me, what can I do? What can I do? And everyone is truly looking for 1 or 2 or 3 things that will help them achieve a greater state of health. And like that, it can be something very simple like rearranging the office or getting outside and putting the feet on the ground, which is becoming quite popular, called earthing. And also for being in the office, some of the things a person can do to help with their energy of the office to make them feel more comfortable is to get a proper earthing or grounding mat and then put that into the chair. And so that when a person's sitting on it, that their body's literally not becoming negatively charged. And by grounding yourself, it helps you get through the day. It's better for your body. And it's like being outside, even if you can't be outside, especially during the winter or the blazing summer if you're in Phoenix. But the most important thing about grounding or earthing type device, you have to make sure that you get it directly to the earth, like through a copper wire or something, and drive a stake into the ground. I'm not a proponent of then taking it and plugging it into an outlet for the grounding socket. So because of the possible EMF waves that come through the electric line, even though a lot of books talk about doing it that way, I do not feel that that's a proper way to get the body grounded using the electrical parts of the house, because we're not electrical instruments. However, we have this electrical field. So coming back to some of the simple things that I can do in my office, or anyone can, to help improve their general atmosphere and to help, how do I say this? Sometimes we feel this kind of irritation or like a dryness around us. That can be actually, in fact, like, if you will, a physical static charge of electricity. And so by getting ourselves grounded or earthed properly, then we take that away and then our body starts healing itself.
Wow, I've never heard of that. So I know that just from listening to you, I can tell that talking about grounding mats is something that you've done a lot of and studied a bunch, but I've never even heard of such a thing. So more research for me.
All right,
so
well, I will send you that link right there.
Great, thank you. And we'll post it up on the recording as well so other people can take a look at it. So I've heard, a couple sort of underlying themes for our viewers at home, whether or not you're interested in medical intuition or grounding mats, there's still the common journey of entrepreneurship that we all start for some reason. Maybe we lost a job, maybe we just couldn't handle being an employee and working for someone else, maybe like Justin, there's just too much of me. I can't shove me into one job, which is sort of how I feel. There's just too many things that I want to do to be able to feel as though a job is going to work for me anymore. I mean, I certainly did it for years and years. And a couple of the things that I heard you say while you were talking, number one, patience, have patience with yourself. But a couple other things. One, you said something about that you'd worked on children's stories, and then you could see that all that is still there for you, but you've moved on.
Yeah.
And I'd like to spend a minute sort of talking about that, the sense of completion that we can get with a project, even though to perhaps our own selves, our smaller selves, or to others around us, it looks like, why don't you stick with that? It looks like it's going really well. Why are you, moving on to something else? And then how we know when it's time to move on. And maybe that's not something you're ready to talk about because it just came to me while you were talking. But if you are, I'd love to hear more about it. Okay, I put you on the spot.
No, that's a big question because it's something that I've never been asked. So I'm listening on 3 different levels and trying to get a sense of where I am about it. For me, I've done so many different positions in my life. It's been this, if you will, almost like a higher calling, that one has led to another. Believe it or not, I originally trained to be an auto technician when I was 18. Went off to school to learn to work on cars because I liked the environment. I could work by myself, and then people would bring me the vehicle and I would work on it and would go out the door, and I could kind of choose my own hours. That went for a while, and then I found out there was aspects of it I didn't like, getting greasy and dirty, and I'm very tall to be up underneath a car. It just wasn't working out. So the next thing you know, I ended up started volunteering at a Boys and Girls Club and doing woodwork. And the next thing you know, the kids were taking this amazing artwork home, and the parents were saying, where are you getting this? And I said, we just make it right here. And that snowballed into working at an elementary school, and that snowballed into working into Mattel Toys, working in the model department, making all the Hot Wheel car parts and Barbie parts and all the different things it takes to run a toy company, and also doing my own. So again, it's one thing after another. And it's that patience, because it wasn't just one thing I learned and trained on, but it's all the skills that I've developed over the years to be doing now what I'm doing. Trying to put that all back into the book of the health secrets won't be possible because that would be a novel unto itself. So I'm trying to focus, much like the short stories. It's 5-10 pages. You get the hero, the chase, the success, and move on. Is that in my work, that the itty bitty book actually works really well because I like things clean and simple. I don't want to talk for 4 or 5 pages about the adventure. Just, this is what will help you now. And I think that a lot of people are looking for that because over the years have been not one, but thousands of books or novels written about health and healing. And it can sometimes be a slog because I'm going through them to where here it's something that I can make available to clients, or it'll be up on Amazon, and of course the digital format that people can go, oh, this is what's bugging me, I can go with this, or the information that will lead me to something, or direct people back to me to help them get through the underlying cause. Because if I really wanted to say that, it's also another way for people to learn about my skills and my work. Because say, for example, you have cancer. And usually by the time someone has called me who is dealing with an issue like cancer, they've been to numerous doctors and other alternatives, and they're not working. And so it's then what I will be putting into this book of things that I have seen that have been very, very beneficial to help people with cancer clear it out of their system. There's also a lot of controversial things out there. So some of the things I will leave out of the book and some of the things I will put in the book. But the idea is that for most people, even with some very challenging illnesses, I feel it will help them greatly.
Fabulous. And it's just another example, and I know we've talked about it on the show before, that when you have a book like this, it's another way to reach people because there's only 24 hours in a day, right? And let's say that you've got a line out your door of people that want treatment with you, that want to have a session, I guess is what you've been calling it. And I'm ready to take a vacation, or I'm ready to move on to something else. Whatever it might be, your time is limited, but there are many, many people that could be served by some of the stuff that you know. So putting together a book like this, it's just another way that people can interact with you. It's obviously another income stream for you as well. And it's something for all of our viewers to think about, that more and more people are doing this, writing little books or bigger books, but a book that demonstrates that you've got expertise, and a book that can reach a bigger audience than you might be able to otherwise in whatever your business is. So yay. And maybe after our time today, you'll get a little bit more inspiration about getting that done. I mean, I don't know if it's been hard for you to do, but I know some authors start something and then
I agree. The biggest thing for me, it's like there's so much I want to put into it, and I really said, there needs to be an itty bitty book, but there does need to be the companion volume or workbook or things that I can already see like there's 2 or 3 more books involved, but still just getting the first one done. So I have all the bones there. Now it's putting the flesh on them to fill it out so that it makes more sense rather than just bullet points. And I have some help from another itty bitty author who is also really skilled in the area of editing. And so we've done some trade work, and that's been fun. There's always something to address or look at, and especially in the form of a book, which is why they've been so popular for like 10,000 years, that it's something that a person can take with them and look through and peruse and understand differently, which is different from, I think, from using the modern tablets or using even the internet, because we're always just trying to skim for that one sentence to get the information. The book has a tendency to slow us down because it's all there and we can set it down and pick it up. And the most amazing thing about a book, there's no batteries.
You don't have to plug it in at night to recharge it.
Plug it in, no.
Yeah. And you can pick it up 20 years later and everything is still right there. Yeah.
Well, a couple of things I would like to mention, especially for office feng shui and things to help increase the abundance. And it's truly the energy of the environment that we work in. If we worked in a coal mine with a hard hat and the noise and the dust and the coal dust and everything, it would be brutal working conditions. Being on top of a skyscraper in a penthouse could also be brutal if it's not conducive to working and getting things done. So some of the few other things I would have you consider, of course, having a plant in your office is always a good idea. Aligning everything, getting the computer desk height. Is the monitor too high, too low, too far away? I keep moving my monitor closer, and it's a huge monitor, and I've just about got it right. So I'm still playing with that. Another thing to consider would be some form of air filter, air purifier, as especially during the winter months, that how the air that we're breathing can become stale. The ionizers type of the negative ion charge air cleaners have been banned in California, so they've had to go to another direction because it's felt that ozone is not good for our lungs, but there's other people who would disagree with that. However, they use this same technology in nuclear submarines and also Mercedes and a few other high-end vehicles, and this is part of the airstream to help keep the dust and debris out of our lungs. So if you haven't dusted in your office in a long time, that would be good. The number one way to move energy in your life is go through the house with a really good duster, go onto every painting, dust them off. Pick up the rug, vacuum under the rug, put the rug back down, and clear that dust. Imagine every bit of dust that you've ever seen is a energy black hole. And so by eliminating that dust, there's no place for it to go but into the home, the house, the business. And that is going to also help accelerate the other energies into your life, into moving forward. And it may not seem like much, but again, think of the homes, your mother, your aunt, your cousin, or whomever you visited, and the house always seems immaculate. And they may in fact have a housekeeper, and that's okay. But the point is that they're like ready to walk out and go somewhere, or they're ready to walk in and start something. Not that we have to be neat freaks. That's not my point. My point is just simply making sure that things are, in a sense, clean and dusted. One of my clients had called, and the first thing that popped into my head was all the boxes that were stuck around their home. And they said, well, I want to heal myself. It's like, whoa. Before you even start there, you need to clear out your house and throw away the old magazines. You just kind of heard them over the phone going, yeah. And this was not one day. This is like 10, 15, 20 years of accumulation. Because guess what? All that dust had all that dust mites, and they were breathing all that stuff. So it was a very physical choice to clear it out. And it's always, and it's please just take a box a day and put it by the curb, whatever it takes. But it's that willingness to move forward, clearing the space, letting the new energy come in, which is also about helping heal us as well.
Great. Well, we're just about out of time. So this is how it always goes, really, really quickly. Is there anything else that you would like to make sure that you get a chance to say, number one? And number two, just for the audience in general, and also for you, we will be posting, links to your website so people can contact you and all that other stuff on the YouTube channel and on the webpage. But beyond that, any last words? I mean, now that I'm ready to get my duster out.
Well, again, because especially for those that are working from home, and notice behind me I have the dragons, and over in this corner I have, which is a terry cloth lion. I actually made that terry cloth lion in kindergarten. So these are the things that I have around me that represent to me a long time. This is basically bookends of my life from the beginning and now currently, the things in this office that mean a lot to me personally. So for some people, when I worked at Mattel Toys, everybody had toys on their desk and everything, and it was fun. So I would say if there's something that has meaning to you that you can put in your visual field, definitely add it to the office to remind oneself why we're having so much joy, excitement, why we're doing this work, where we think we're going, where we'd like to go. Also, if you wanted to do a collage or something and put that up to where you can see it, or not a collage, well, a collage.
Vision board.
Thank you, a vision board, about where you'd like to see your thing going, your business, your personal life. And again, it's the office is that microcosm of life, of how we see ourselves, and to allow us to move forward, to move through to our next goal. It's about setting that goal, putting something up there, and whether it be a vision board or simply a dollar bill or a date on a calendar for vacation or whatever it might be, putting that somewhere in the office to help remind us, oh yes, well, here's pictures of the family. That's great, which are over here. And that it helps me remember and not get so wrapped up in the day-to-day business, and which could become a drudge after a while. So anything at all, again, the dragon is, there's whole stories I could go into about that, of how, if you will, dragon energy by shifting gears. And that is actually one last thing I will say is that it covers a full-length mirror. And one of the best ways to improve the energy in your life, in the home, is to cover those full-length mirrors with some kind of tapestry energetically, because seeing a mirror can reflect back not only the positive, but the negative. And so by taking the mirror out of our life, we're not focusing on the reflection. We're focusing on putting out who we are.
Well, no, I love that. And I wish we had a little more time, but can you tell me just one more thing about it? Do we ever look in the mirror? Do you take the tapestry down once in a while?
Yes, of course. And, after we brush our teeth or anything, okay, we're looking good and we're out the door. But it's to have this full length mirror, and it's those sliders. So you've got the two big doors, and I don't need that much mirror. We have a mirror in the hallway that I walk by if I want to see something. It's actually up really high, so hi there, versus most mirrors are down here. So I kind of have to get down anyhow. So having something, even like a little hand mirror, so that's wonderful. You can look at it and move it. Why not? But again, I want to focus on what is important to me. So rather than painting the wall, putting a tapestry up over the mirror, it really changed a lot to more of a positive energy. Plus, with the people I deal with, also not only we're talking physical health, but also spiritual health. So I made that choice to put that up there to help keep out, if you will, negative energy. Because one of the portals that negative energy comes through is by mirrors.
Okay, so even, what I'm hearing there is, even if you don't want to go into energy, you don't believe in any of that, which there's probably somebody out there that doesn't, the having a mirror that is just always there reflecting to you is always a chance for you to find some dissatisfaction, versus using it to get yourself to where you want to be in the morning or whatever, and then covering it up so it's not having a chance to impact you throughout the day with, oh, my hair, oh, my whatever. That, you're in control of it versus it just being there randomly controlling you, like having the TV on all day or something. It's kind of the same. And I know you want to say one more thing, and then we're going to have to check out. But
well, I was going to say is that a mirror doubles whatever is there too.
Yes.
So if you have a beautiful office, it will double what you see. You'll have twice as much beautiful office. If you're not happy with your office, you'll have a mirror that shows twice as much of not what you want.
Yeah.
So again, by putting that up there, again, I love the dragon tapestry, and it just has a wonderful vibe for me. For someone else, it might simply be a gauze or a silver or some other beautiful something that they want to put up there. And again, it's just on a string. My wife hung that up there, and it worked out real great. So that's one of the simplest things I know, that especially working out of a particular bedroom office kind of thing, generally have the big mirror, just change it up. And if you want to put up this beautiful vision of the beach or the mountains or anything else like that, it doesn't get any better. And because that real estate is, again, as you were just saying, it's what directing it toward where I want it to be, rather than a reflection of something that I'm not happy with.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. So thank you very much. And there'll be more later, I'm sure. I mean, I know as a fellow itty bitty book author, someday we'll probably meet at some event, and that'll be fun. So it's the end of our show. It's 8:37. It's actually over. Woohoo. We did a lot today. So now you know what you're supposed to do. It's time for you to get to work. And whatever that work is, whatever your calling is, you know that you need to do it, because no one else is going to. It's your job to do. And we're here to cheer you on every Monday. We're here to tell you that what you're doing matters, to hopefully share some interesting information with you, give you some new ideas, new direction. And we'd love to hear from you, which means connecting with us on the YouTube channel or at mondaymomentum.com. And let us know what you think, what you'd like to hear about, how you use what you've heard, or just how fabulous you think we are, because, you know, we all like a little stroke once in a while. We will see you next Monday morning at 8 a.m. Meanwhile, go out there and make it happen. Work hard and work right and work brilliantly, so that you can feel really good about your week when you slide into home base on Friday. We will see you next week.
Take